guys. Welcome. Happy Friday. I hope you are all having a wonderful day and that this episode just adds to that. I hope you have a little bit of a giggle, a thought-provoking moment or two, and ultimately, I hope that you walk away changed. I don't know in what way, but in some way. Today I am running solo, which is always fun and exciting. I love having my guests on, but there's just something about me sitting alone in my room, reading the notes on my phone, just chatting away with myself. I don't know, it's kind of cathartic. I've done it my whole life. I've just never had a mic in front of my face before, and in some ways, this does make me feel less crazy, because before I would just talk to myself, and now I'm like, no, there's an audience out there that's listening to this, and that brings me a lot of peace, comfort, and joy, truly. So thank you for being here as I stare at my walls and ramble on about the thoughts in my little noggin.
Are we kidding? Oh my gosh, I love that.
For our media consumption segment today, I am going to do an entire breakdown of the movie and book It Ends With Us, because it's a really hot topic right now, and I feel like there are a lot of women out there that just don't know. They don't know what's going on. They're being convinced to read this book, and I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to tell you if it's worth your time. I'm going to give you the real and honest truth, tell you what to expect. I am here to debunk all of the myths and give you an accurate picture of what It Ends With Us is actually about. There are going to be many spoilers ahead, so I guess if you really want to go in blind, go for it. Do not listen to this segment, but for the next 20 to 30 minutes, I will be breaking down the entire plot. And for those of you that have seen it or that want to know what all the drama and stuff is about, here it is. As we have reviewed in my episode about Colleen Hoover, I don't like her because I think she's a terrible writer, just grammatically and sentence structure wise, but also she's extremely manipulative in her plots. I don't like the characters that she writes, but all of those things that I feel very strongly about don't necessarily apply to one book only, and that is It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us is a story about this girl named Lily. In the book, she's a bit younger, but in the movie, she's older. She's 29 or 30 or something like that. So this book starts off, and she's on this rooftop. She's upset. This man comes out onto the roof and he kicks this chair. He's very angry and upset. He doesn't see her on the roof. Then, he looks up and he realizes that she's sitting there. He calms down. He comes over and, as two strangers do in the middle of the night, they start confessing these truths to each other about what they went through that day. Lily reveals that she was at her father's funeral. Her mother had asked her to say 5 things that she loved about her dad. And when she got up to say the eulogy, she couldn't. So she stood there in silence and then said, "I'm sorry, I can't," and then just literally walked out and then drove back to Boston. I don't remember where she grew up. That's unimportant. But anyways, she reveals this to this stranger. Now, the stranger's name is Ryle. Ryle then reveals that he is a neurosurgeon and he lost a patient that night. It was a child who was shot by their sibling on accident. Lily says, "I wonder what that's going to do to the younger child, the one who shot and killed their sibling." And Ryle says, "It'll destroy them for life. That's what it'll do." Now, this is important information for later in the story. So this is how we enter into the story of meeting Lily and meeting Ryle. One other truth that Lily mentions in this discussion with Ryle is that she had sex with a homeless boy. That's who she lost her virginity to. She doesn't give much context, but that's just what she says. Then they have this sexy moment on the roof where Ryle tells her that he wants to have sex with her, and she's like, "Ooh, bold." She says no, but then they make out a little bit, and then it's interrupted because he gets a call to go back into surgery, so he leaves. Then it's like a 6-month period or something that goes by. It's quite a long time from that first initial meeting of Ryle, of that violent moment, then him coming over, being sweet, them revealing these truths to each other, and then when they meet again. Now, in the movie, I actually really enjoyed this rooftop scene. I thought it was funny. I thought it was flirty. It was a little bit awkward. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I was having a good time with it, and I felt like it was accurate to the book and was really setting up this storyline. In the book, we get these journal entries from Lily. They did not do that in the movie. You did get flashbacks, but not through the journal entries. I think they did that for a couple reasons. Number one, her journal entries were written to Ellen DeGeneres, which, her fall from grace. They weren't going to add that in there. She would literally be like, "Hi, Ellen," and then she would write her journal entry, and then she would say, "Bye, Ellen," at the end of her journal entries. In the book, it was actually quite fun writing her journal to somebody, writing these letters, basically. So that was an element that I enjoyed in the book, and you get to see the whole story of what happened in her past. Lily grew up in a home with a father that was extremely abusive. This very black and white, he was a bad man. He beat up her mom. He never hurt her, and he would never hurt her mother in front of her. So he was always very sweet to her and kind, but then he would do terrible things to her mom. So that was always very difficult for her. You get this backstory of when Lily was growing up. There was this boy that was living in this abandoned house next door to hers. She saw him through her window. She ends up leaving clothes for him and food and different stuff. Atlas is homeless due to circumstances that weren't really his fault. His mom was in an abusive relationship, and Atlas knows that Lily's father is abusive. He has heard him beat up her mom. Over the course of weeks, he starts coming over to her house, showering while her parents aren't home before they come home from work, and they watch Ellen DeGeneres together. That's like what they do. Then, of course, she reveals to him that she likes him, so then they stop really watching Ellen DeGeneres and they just start making out. There's literally a whole journal entry that's like, "Sorry, Ellen, I haven't really been watching your show lately because Atlas and I just make out all the time." They kind of trauma bond over their circumstances. It feels pretty surface level in the book, I'm gonna be honest, but I enjoyed it in the movie. I felt like they did a good job of kind of showing them falling for each other and this deep love that she has for Atlas. Well, they end up having sex together, and her dad comes home when that's going on. He beats the crap out of Atlas with a bat. In the book, it's very detailed. It is not as shown in the movie. All you see is like the dad come in like screaming, and then the next thing you see is Atlas bruised up being wheeled away into an ambulance. But in the book, it's pretty descriptive of what happens, and he almost kills Atlas in front of her. That was very traumatic, and her dad was the mayor of the town, so he's seen as like this hero because the story was told that this homeless boy came in and took advantage of her daughter, and he was this hero defending his home and his daughter. But of course, we as the readers and as the viewers know that that's not the case at all, that her dad is a horrible person, and she loves Atlas, and Atlas is kind and generous and sweet and all of these things. Well, that's the last time that she sees Atlas. He ends up leaving and joining the military and all of this stuff. Okay, so that's the backstory that we're getting on him. Going back to present day, Lily opens up a flower shop. This random girl comes in one time. Absolutely stunning casting. This girl comes in and she's like, "Hey, I'm rich and bored. Can I help you with this flower shop that you're opening? Lily Blossom Bloom." Yes, that is her name. It's the stupidest thing ever, but that is Colleen and her dumb writing. It turns out that her new employee is Ryle's sister. So one day they're trying to put stuff up, and in walks Ryle to help put up whatever they need, and they look at each other and it's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, we met a long time ago on a rooftop." Her and Ryle end up falling in love, and it's really quite sweet. But here's the thing that I loved about the movie and what I didn't hate about the book. You genuinely love Ryle. He is such a good guy. He's caring, he's attractive, he's rich. I mean, he's got all of these great qualities going for him. Him and Lily have great chemistry together, all of this stuff. Well, slowly over time, some certain things happen. They end up going to this restaurant, and who do they see in this restaurant? But Atlas, her old romance, the one that was beat up by her dad. That was the last time she saw him. And Ryle does not know that this is Atlas. like the Atlas, her first love. He doesn't know that. She excuses herself to go to the bathroom, and her and Atlas see each other. She's like, oh my gosh, how are you? How have you been? He tells her that he's been good. He started this restaurant, blah, blah, blah. He says, is that your guy? She's like, yes, it is. She asks him if he's been dating anybody. He lies and says that he has. And it's just like this beautiful moment of, these two people that have this past together and that loved each other at one point, coming together, seeing each other again, seeing each other doing well and happy. Then the story moves on, and you have this scene with Lily and Ryle. They're making something in the kitchen, and it's burning, and Ryle goes to grab it without oven mitts. And this is the day before he has this big surgery. Okay, so he goes to grab this pan. In the book, it's extremely detailed. In the movie, it was kind of confusing what was really going on. And I didn't really love that. It made a little bit of sense to me, but I wish that they would have done a wide shot so you could really see what was happening. When you see it in the movie, it's very quick. Ryle grabs this pan without a glove. He burns his hand. In the book, Lily was laughing because they were joking around prior to that. And she's like, oh my gosh, you just grabbed that pan without an oven mitt. But in the book, he turns to her and he is very angry, saying, these are my hands, like this is my livelihood, and I have that big surgery tomorrow. And then he hits her. Now in the movie, again, it wasn't really shown what happened. He grabs the pan shatters on the floor, so there's glass everywhere. He does kind of yell at her. All of a sudden she has hair in front of her face. It's like, whoa, 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 did she get hurt? What happened? So there is a little bit more clarification in the book of exactly how it goes down. And then he also cuts his hand on the broken glass as well. It was a very traumatic event for the both of them. She gets a bruised eye. In the book, it's slightly more clear that he did intentionally hit her in this moment of anger. But it can easily be chalked up to, oh, it was an intense moment. There was a lot going on. He was hurt. She was laughing. I don't know. There's a lot of excuses that I feel like you can make, which is intentional because, again, you really love Ryle as an audience member. You don't want to think that he's capable of hitting her. After this event occurs, they end up back at Atlas's restaurant. And when she goes in, Atlas comes over to the table and he sees her bruised eye and he sees the bandaged hand of Ryle. Again, she excuses herself to go to the bathroom. Atlas comes in and tells her, you have to leave him. She tries to explain, no, he's not abusive. It's not like my dad. It's not what you think. You weren't there. He's not a bad person. I'm not being abused. But Atlas is like, no, you have to leave. She pushes herself out of the bathroom and, oh, there's Ryle. So now Ryle realizes that this man that she's talking to is Atlas, her old love. They get in a fight, fists go flying, Ryle gets kicked out of the restaurant, they leave and agree to never go back. That's kind of the first big incident. But things just escalate from there. Atlas ends up giving her his number to put in the back of her phone case in case she ever gets hurt again. And she's like, I'm not going to need it, but okay. In the book, you see a little bit more of a progression towards Ryle's violent behavior. But again, you really, really like him. And he's not all bad. It's not this black and white thing like it was with her dad where he was just abusive. So then there's another incident where Ryle finds the number in the back of her phone case. In the book, it's a bit more intense, actually. He finds the number in the phone case. This causes a fight, and she tries to explain, no, it was there. I forgot about it. It was months ago. But she doesn't, in the movie, actually explain herself. In the book, she does. And so that was kind of frustrating to me that they didn't keep that in the movie. He goes towards the stairs, and she's following him. And once again, it's a little bit blurred in the movie of what actually happens, but the next thing you know, she's waking up getting stitches on her forehead, and he tells her that she fell down the stairs. There is one final incident, and this one was very traumatic, trigger warning. I thought it was incredibly done, but it was very difficult to watch. He finds out that the inspiration for Atlas's restaurant was Lily, and that the tattoo that's on her collarbone has a connection to Atlas. This is revealed, and he attempts to rape her. He is on top of her, but he's telling her, I haven't showed you how much I love you. And she is terrified. And you see these kind of flashbacks of her seeing her mother in that same position by her dad. And it was just very raw and difficult to watch. But I thought it was incredibly done in the movie. He does not rape her. He does bite her on her collarbone pretty severely where her tattoo is. And she's all bruised up, but she's able to get out from under him and get him to stop. There's been multiple events, but this final one was very major, very severe. He was clearly abusive in that moment. And she starts to see things clearly. She starts to have these memories come back of the first incidents, like the oven thing and him hitting her, and then the stair incident of him grabbing her and like throwing her down the stairs. Again, in the movie, it wasn't as clear. Even when she's having this moment of clarity of you seeing exactly what happened, I was kind of upset that they didn't make it super clear to the audience, But I guess from a directional standpoint, I was understanding why in the beginning they made it blurry and you as an audience member are kind of like, wait, what just happened? Because I think often that's how it feels. I mean, I can't speak to that experience, but I would imagine that if you have something like that happen, then it happens so quickly and so fast, and you kind of are like, wait, what did just happen? Was it an accident? Was it on purpose? I don't know. And then you're being told that it was an accident, and they're apologizing and they're being sweet and nice and kind and taking care of you. I could see how like your memory can be distorted, but after this final incident, she starts to see things a little bit more clearly. So she ends up leaving and she goes to the hospital to get checked out and all of that. And that's when she finds out she's pregnant. This is where things get really complicated. She doesn't know what to do. So she goes and she tells Ryle's sister about what happened. She reveals the abuse that has been going on. This scene made me cry so hard. I teared up a bit in the book, but man, did I bawl in the movie theater. Because the sister says that as his sister, I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive him. But as your friend, if you go back to him, I will never speak to you again. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was so good. That part's beautiful. She goes through this pregnancy. In the book, there's a lot more detail that wasn't involved in the movie that I was kind of missing because Ryle is really trying to give her space, but also he's being extremely kind. He feels terrible. He agrees to go get help. And then it is revealed of why he has the anger issues that he has. Remember back at the beginning when he reveals about the shooting of the child and he couldn't save the child that was shot? Turns out Ryle shot his older brother on accident and killed his older brother. So when he said at the beginning it'll destroy him for life, the sibling that lived, in that moment he was really talking about himself. And in the book, it's revealed that when he gets angry, he blacks out, basically. Like, he doesn't remember shooting his brother because it was so traumatic for him and he was like 5 years old. So as this defense mechanism, when he gets to a certain point of anger, he kind of just like blacks out. Like he does not remember what he's doing or what he has done. And a lot of times in Colleen Hoover's books, she allows that reasoning to be the excuse, and then normally the main character just like forgives them and is like, oh my gosh, you've been through so much, which is the only reason I like It Ends With Us, because this is the one book where she doesn't allow for that to be an excuse for behavior. Ryle is not a terrible person, and he does have these legitimate reasons why he reacts the way that he does, like this trauma in the past, but that in no way excuses his behavior. It doesn't. No amount of good in Ryle is going to supersede the inexcusable abusive behavior that he has. He needs help. He should get it. He has a right to it. I believe that this character of Ryle is loving and deserves to be loved, but not at the sacrifice of Lily, not at the sacrifice of anybody else. He has got to figure that out on his own, because there is no excuse big enough ever to excuse abusive behavior. You cannot put your hands on another person. You cannot hurt another person no matter how hurt you have been or how much you are hurting right now. Like, that does not matter. It matters in the context of, healing and getting help, but no excuse. There is none. You cannot have that behavior, and it is unacceptable. So Lily, throughout this process, she is really grappling with what to do, because she had told him after the first incident in the book that if you ever lay your hands on me again, I will leave you. That wasn't emphasized in the movie either. But she's just like, oh, I don't know what to do because he's not my dad, but he does have behaviors that my dad had as well. And I can't live in that kind of environment, you know? But he's also very sweet, and he helps her with building stuff for the baby, and they kind of have these connective moments. And so as a reader, I was like, oh my gosh, is she going to get back with him? Do I want her to? No, wait, no, she can't. It's inexcusable, but like, you love Ryle. It's very conflicting. I like that it's conflicting because I think it paints a more accurate picture of why women don't leave. Like, it's not as simple as just, oh, he hurt you, so you should get out. In her first incident, and Atlas being like, you should leave him. Because to Lily, in that moment, like, no, it was more complicated than that. It could have been a mistake. It could have been. He didn't mean to, and there was a lot going on, and he burned his hand. You know, it was more complex than just this black and white thing. Although at the end of the day, I do think it boils down to you can't hurt another person. That's pretty black and white. It's more emotional, and it's more complex when you're in it, to see things clearly in that way. So I like that it felt a lot more empathizing to women who are in those situations. You don't really question as much, why do they stay? Because you see how they could stay. And I really hope that this movie gives courage to those that are in those types of relationships to leave. Because at the end, the reason that this movie is titled It Ends With Us, she has the baby. Ryle is in the delivery room with her. They have this beautiful moment being there together. He's holding the baby. You can tell like these two people love each other. And she puts her hand on his face and she says, I'm going to divorce you. I loved this moment film-wise. The way that she touches his face, the way that she taps his face. She doesn't allow him in that moment to like make her feel guilty, and she really says what she needs to say. I think it is just beautifully directed. Go, Justin. Well, she tells him to look at his daughter right there, right now, in his arms. And what if she came to him and said, Daddy, my boyfriend hit me. Daddy, my husband threw me down the stairs. Daddy, my husband tried to rape me. He promises he won't do it again. He promises that he'll get help. What would you tell your daughter to do? And he looks up and he says, I'd beg her to leave him. And I think that is just such a powerful moment. So Ryle leaves the room. She's holding her daughter. And she tells her daughter in that moment that you and me, right now, it ends with us. This cycle of abuse, of my mother being abused, me being abused, you potentially being abused, it's gonna stop right here, right now. It ends with us, with you and me. I cried in the book when I read that, and I bawled my eyes out in the theater. I thought it was so beautiful, so well done. I liked that they quoted the book directly, and I do think it is a very powerful message. Now, the book as a whole is much spicier than the movie. There's a lot of sex in the book, okay? Which, to me, is another reason why I didn't love the book. It also had some plot hole situations that I didn't love, and just Colleen's general writing style that I'm not the biggest fan of. But the movie, I thought, was phenomenal because I felt like it really got across the message that they were looking for. It made you feel like you were Lily, you cared about Ryle, you love Atlas. Oh my gosh. Now, It Starts With Us, the book, is the biggest money grab I've ever seen, and it is actual trash garbage, should never be read. But you bet your butt that I would watch the movie It Starts With Us, because I feel like they set it up so well in the movie for you to care about these two characters, and I want to see them in their success story. It was so cute to see Lily stand up for herself, to end the cycle, and to have Atlas where she can now fulfill this love that she once had. I really hope that they end up making the movie It Starts With Us. I don't know if they will because of all the drama that's online with Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. I do feel like I need it stated that I don't really play into the drama very often of celebrities or publicity and things like this, just because I realize that there is so much that we don't know. There's so much we don't see. There are strategies in place, sometimes being executed really well, sometimes failing epically, but at the end of the day, a lot of times it's just speculation. speculation. Either you have the facts or you don't. And until I see receipts, until someone makes a statement about something that involves them, I think there's only so much we can believe about this secondhand drama that we're hearing about. But for anybody that's wondering what's been going on with the promotion of the movie, from what I have gathered, you really have two different strategies of this movie. You have Justin Baldoni, who plays Ryle, and he is speaking to the true nature of this plot, of it being a domestic violence story. He is really promoting help for victims and hoping that, the Lily Blooms of the world watch this movie and are encouraged to make a different choice, just like Lily did, to create a better life for themselves and to leave their abusers. So that's really the side that he's taking, which I think to a lot of us you would think, well, that's the only side to take, right? Like, we should be promoting the stopping of domestic violence and the help of victims. I am completely on board for that. But then you have Blake Lively and really the rest of the cast, and they're promoting it as this carefree, grab your flowers, grab your girlies, go to the theater to see this romance movie, which is not really going over super well as a strategy, because a lot of women are going into this movie blind and they don't realize what it really is because they were told and shown that it's this romance story, and oh my gosh, all of a sudden Lily Bloom's getting punched. So it's not really the romance they were expecting, Also, Blake Lively seems to really be taking this opportunity to promote her hair care line that just launched, and she's not really advocating for victims in any way. She does say, she doesn't want to focus on Lily being a victim because she's more than that, and I'm totally on board that victims are much more than being a victim. But the way that she's doing it, or at least the way that it's coming across, is not great. It's not very tactful. It's not very sensitive to the situations that people are going through. It's also not very sensitive to the subject matter that she's releasing. I mean, her and Ryan, her husband, have both been very involved in the promotion of this movie, even though Ryan Reynolds isn't even in the movie. So that's been kind of weird. And Justin Baldoni hasn't been in any cast pictures. He hasn't really done any of the press for the movie with the rest of the cast, which some can say, oh, well, it's because he really doesn't want Ryle as a character to be getting praise of any sort, because again, he's promoting the stopping of domestic violence. But I don't know. Again, it's all speculation. There's a lot of people that speculate that it's more than that because the rest of the cast apparently unfollowed him on Instagram or Twitter or something. There seems to be a lot of drama. Everyone has an opinion on it. Everyone's been posting videos about it. And most people, from at least the side of media that I'm on, side with Justin. I am sure there's a side that other people are seeing where it's all about Blake. But what I'm seeing is people really getting upset at Blake Lively for how lighthearted she's making this and how she's just using all of this to promote herself and make her career better instead of actually helping and taking a stance on domestic violence. People seem to be pretty upset about that. It is not painting Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds in a good light at all. There also seems to be some speculation about direction in the movie and some creative differences because Justin Baldoni, who plays Ryle, was also the director of the movie, but he has said that he will not come back to direct the next installment, which is It Starts With Us. And there seems to be a lot of people who think that Blake Lively really tried to be the director for this movie and not let Justin be the director, and Ryan Reynolds wrote the roof scene, so he was intervening on the creative process. Again, all of this is speculation. So I even have a hard time explaining it because I'm like, for all we freaking know, none of this is true. Why are we pretending like we know the story? Were you there? No. Are you Ryan Reynolds? Are you Blake Lively? Are you Justin Baldoni? No, you're not. And they have not spoken to this. They are taking the silent stance. So all of this has just been blown up by people speculating on one video here and people unfollowing here and this over there. Like, it's just garbage. I mean, come on. Do we not have better things to do with our time? There is better drama out there with more facts that we could really be going off of. And this one just doesn't have enough for me to get involved. But for those of you that were curious about it, that seems to be the core of the drama is just different stances on promoting the movie. Blake Lively seems to be really tactless. A lot of people are coming after her and then now saying, you know, she's a mean girl. She's always been this way. And then bringing up old interviews where she made people feel bad. There seems to be a very big smear campaign going on for Blake Lively right now. And then it's kind of bleeding into Ryan Reynolds as well, of course, because they are espoused. I don't know. I like Justin Baldoni. I got no beef with Blake. I got no beef with anybody. I don't know these people. I don't have enough substance to have beef. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I could have a Canadian ham with somebody. Just like a single slice of a Canadian ham piece that goes on a Hawaiian pizza. That's about as much information as I have to really go off of. It's not a meal. It's not beef. That was probably the stupidest analogy. But anyways, I think you get what I'm saying. I do want to see it again. No, I don't think that you need to read the book in order to watch the movie, nor do I think you should. Just watch the movie. That's all you need. The movie was done so well. It also had a great soundtrack. My only critique really on the filming of it was, my goodness, there were so many handheld camera moments that I was getting a freaking headache. Like, who said wide shots are out of style? Can we do a wide shot? Can we do a camera on a track, Justin? I mean, my brother, what is with all these close-ups with the handheld camera? That was my only critique. Other than that, I loved it. The casting was phenomenal. Blake Lively's younger version was literally a carbon copy of her, which was insane. I don't know how they did that. There is your rundown on the entire thing. I hope that was helpful for everybody. I know I had a very enjoyable time. Now it's time to move on to the thoughts on my mind. First up, it is media related, which I know you probably think that should go in the other segment, but this is my show. I'm going to do it how I want. You guys, People We Meet on Vacation, the Emily Henry book, which I don't actually love. It's 3.5 stars for me. It is not one of my favorites, but I love Emily Henry regardless. That book just got cast as a movie. Here is my thoughts on People We Meet on Vacation. The reason I personally didn't like it is I didn't enjoy how many flashbacks there were. That's just not my favorite style in a book, but I'm totally down for it in a movie. And I actually remembered reading it and thinking to myself, it would make a really great movie or TV series. I thought the same thing about her book, The Happy Place. There were just too many characters for me to enjoy it in book form, but I thought that it might really play out well in film. You guys, it's as if Emily heard me, because not only did People We Meet on Vacation get cast for a movie, but The Happy Place is being turned into a TV show. I am so excited about both of these things, but first we need to talk about People We Meet on Vacation. The casting for this movie, I could cry. I'm so happy. Jane from My Lady Jane, which if you haven't seen that yet, oh my gosh, that needs to go to the top of your list. I am fully addicted. I've watched it 3 times now. Her name is Emily Bader. She is absolutely gorgeous, and she is the perfect casting for Poppy. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But it doesn't just stop there. The guy in this book is probably my favorite guy out of all of her books. I love Gus in Beach Read. I really enjoy Charlie from Book Lovers. But Alex from this one is, I think, my favorite. I just love his personality. I think he is so great. And there is one particular part at the end I will not spoil. That was the most charitable, sweetest thing I've ever heard of a man doing for anyone ever. And although it is fictional, it will forever be real in my heart. I couldn't be happier to tell you that the casting for Alex is in fact Tom Blythe, who plays Snow in the new Hunger Games movie, A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I thought he was so hot in that movie. Buzz cut, long hair, didn't matter. He looked fantastic. So imagine my delight at Jane from my newest obsession and Tom being cast as the leads to this movie. And this movie is all about traveling to these gorgeous, beautiful destinations, because that's the job of Poppy. She works for this travel magazine. So they go on all these vacations to all these beautiful places, and they're actually gonna go to these locations. Oh my gosh, guys, can we make a better movie for me? I don't think so. I'm so excited. I have so much hope that they're not gonna mess it up and that I'm going to absolutely love it. As far as The Happy Place goes, I think that that is gonna be an amazing TV series. series. I'm pumped for that. I hope Beach Read makes it into a movie. Honestly, I hope Emily Henry gets all of her stuff made into movies or TV shows because I think she deserves it. And I hope Abigail Jimenez is right on her tail and somebody picks up her books because holy crap, I would love to watch those and not just read them. Spending just like 2 more seconds here, My Lady Jane was not renewed for a second season, and I'm unwell. And I just needed you all to know that. I've been sick about it ever since I heard. I almost shed real tears about it. Honestly, I don't even think I'm emotionally stable enough right now to talk about it because my anger in just bringing it up is just boiling. So I'm gonna simmer back down, but just know that I'm upset. I do know about it, and I still think you should watch it. But the fact that there is not gonna be a second season, that's gonna hurt me for years to come. I did sign the petition to get it back on the air, but we'll see. We'll see what that does. It didn't work for the Wilds, but I'm hoping this time we can get some redemption. Just getting right into it, I've been really anti-bra lately, and it's honestly been life-changing and so good, but also at the same time been really hard. Here's what I mean. I love not having a bra, but I have such limited clothing that I feel comfortable not wearing a bra in because, you know, I'm a well-endowed woman. I am not a part of the itty bitty titty committee. I've never been a part of that club, never will be. So I do need some sort of support, mainly because I be sweating. I am gonna try the Carpe deodorant. We all know my conversion. I'm gonna try their breast version. They have some for like your breasts, they have some for your feet, for your scalp. They've got all sorts. I will be reporting back on that. I'm gonna give that a gander, but here's my issue with bras. Number one, they're the worst. We all know this. I have not done wired bras in years. I've been on that train for quite a while and it's been great, except it's not as comfortable as I once thought it was. Obviously, I need new bras, but I'm like, I don't even want to wear them. It hurts by the end of the day. It's not a good time. I feel like I'm going to give myself breast cancer because my lymph nodes aren't being able to freely drain because it's restricted by this bra. There's a lot that's going into it. But then on top of it all, I have this extra problem where I can't just wear the regular 2 straps, okay? For whatever reason, the way that God designed my body, bra straps will slip off my shoulders like it's their job, and it drives me up an effing wall. I can't stand it. So many moons ago, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this for 1 second longer. Any bra that I buy has to be a crisscross back, so it will stay in place and I don't have to keep grabbing at my fallen bra strap all day long. Great, that fixed the problem, except now my bra straps are always showing no matter what I wear. Part of me doesn't really care, but then the other part of me really cares. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and it's just so hard wearing a bra day in, day out. I've been doing it for so many years now that I just think I hit my tolerance, and maybe I'm going through that quarter life crisis or something. I've rejected bras. I'm like, I can't with you anymore. You have been this burden since I was like 12 years old and I want to break up. Really, truly, I am just coming to all of you asking for your bra recommendations. Here's what I want. I want wire free. I want so comfortable that you don't even think it's a bra. I want it where I can wear it with my thin shirts that I don't feel comfortable not wearing a bra with. I want to be able to walk at a brisk pace if needed, because that's the other issue. If I'm not wearing a bra, zero physical activity, which normally in my day-to-day life, that's not a problem. I'm never doing anything physical. But occasionally, you know, I need to go somewhere or do something and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm not wearing a bra. I can't be participating in anything of the sort. This is not going to end well for me. This is going to hurt. I need something that can just at least give me the reassurance that, you know, if someone needed me to bend over and pick up a volleyball and toss it back to them, that I'm going to be all right doing that. Ultimately, I need it to stay on my shoulders and not be super, super thick and not be so tight that I feel like I'm gonna die. You know what I'm saying? Where is this bra? Where is just the super comfortable, supportive, buttery soft, crisscross back that's not gonna be seen through my clothes, nude colored bra? That's what I need. Can someone please give me recommendations? Because I'd really appreciate it. Because I'm just right now loving my no bra life, but it doesn't feel fully practical for me and it's really limited my wardrobe. I just need something to help out on the days when I do need to wear a bra. There's my request. DM me with your suggestions, please and thank you. This next note is simple. Cherries taste best at the beach. Yeah, they do. When you're going out for a beach day, the hot sun, the smell of sunscreen, the umbrellas, you're packing it all, the towels, there is nothing quite like bringing out a bag of cherries. Oh, the inconvenience of having to spit out the seed in the middle doesn't feel inconvenient. They just really go with the salt water on your lips or the chlorine. I don't know. They just taste better. I'm not usually buying cherries just to buy cherries, but for a beach day, I'm absolutely going to grab a bag of the reddest cherries that you've ever seen. Another thing that hits different at the beach is a Capri Sun. That does exactly what it needs to do. A Capri Sun and some cherries on a beach day? Yes, please. What if instead of saying, I'm not like other girls, I put on my profile, I'm just like other girls. In fact, I'm literally the same as every other girl out there. Do you think that that would help my odds? Just being like, no, I am part of the crowd. I am one of the sheep. In fact, I wish I was more like them because they're great and I wish that there was more of them. I think that there's nothing wrong at times of being part of a crowd. I just thought that that would be funny. I learned a new word this week and I thought I'd share it with all of you. This is courtesy of my roommate, Abby. Shout out to her. She is a saint to live with me. She used the word reneging. Have y'all ever heard of this word before? Have you used this word in a sentence in the last year? Yeah, I doubt it. For anybody that doesn't know, which was me about 8 days ago, it is to go back on a promise, undertaking, or contract. Using it in a sentence, they have reneged on their promises to us. Never one time have I ever heard that word, reneging. No, you can take back a promise, but you reneged it? I don't know about that. Apparently it is a real word. She used it in a real sentence, and it took me aback, to say the least. I was very shocked at her use of vocabulary, and I had to look it up. In the middle of her talking to me, I was like, I'm sorry, quick pause. What was that word you just used just now? You want to know what my one word is that I don't know why, but it's stuck with me all of these years, and it is such a random word, but I know the definition. Spoonerism. Have you ever heard of the word spoonerism? Probably not. But today you're going to learn. Now, back in the day when I lived with my parents as a young child and into my teen years, my dad loved using complex vocabulary. Both him and my mother, they're both intellectuals, which, you know, I think that might be why I'm so dumb. They had it all, so I didn't need to. You know, like I could ask a question, they could answer it, and I could easily forget it. I never had to really learn it for myself because they knew it. I think that that might be the root of my stupidity, but who's to say? It is hard though, having smart parents and being as stupid as I am, because obviously they're mortified, embarrassed to say the least, when I don't know basic things about basic things. But part of me is like, yeah, but you know, there's more to life. But anyways, my parents would use very big vocabulary, complex, special words. I don't know what you would classify it as, but they smart talkers, all right? We always had family dinner together, and he would have a word of the day that he would use in a sentence, and we would all look up the definition and learn this new word. I only remember one singular word, and it is spoonerism. Couldn't tell you why. Maybe because it had the image of a spoon and I'm very image-based as a person, so I was like, oh, I can remember that one. But here's what spoonerism means. It is a verbal error in which a speaker accidentally transposes the initial sounds or letters of two or more words, often in a humorous effect. I know that that all went right over your head, so let me break this down. What a spoonerism is. It is a mistake that you make when you're talking. Basically what it is taking two words and you mix up the first letter of them and then you switch them. So here's an example of a sentence. Here is the true sentence. You missed the history lectures. Here is the spoonerism version. You hissed the mystery lectures. You see how I did that? It happens all the time when we get talking. I actually had a very embarrassing one when I was working with a client a couple weeks ago. It wasn't technically a spoonerism. I was trying to say if it's burning and itching, but I just combined it and I said when you find it bitching. And I was like, whoa, I did not mean to say that just now. But that one, I guess technically that one wouldn't be a full spoonerism because I just combined those two words. It would really need for me to say, like, if it's bitching and earning instead of itching and burning, but you know what I mean. So the next time that you or somebody else mixes up two letters of two words, but they still make different words, and a lot of times it can be really humorous and funny, you can go, hey, that was a spoonerism. And they're going to ask you how you knew that, and then you're going to say, oh, I actually learned it off of Nikki's podcast, Life According to Nikki. Then they're going to listen to me, and then you're both going to rate and review. Yeah? That sounds great. Was I the only one that didn't know that Sherri Papini's kidnapping was a hoax? Why am I just finding out about this years later? Do you guys remember this story about Sherri Papini? I'm probably saying her name incorrectly, but it's this woman who lived in Redding, California. Back in 2016, the story was that she had gone running and then disappeared. And she disappeared for 3 weeks. I remember there were ads everywhere. They were calling her super mom because she had kids, her husband. Like, it was crazy. Here's the story. She was kidnapped and she said that a woman kidnapped her. I remember seeing the drawing, like the sketch artist drawing of this Hispanic woman with like a bandana covering her nose and a hat on so you could really just see the eyes. Well, I remember her being rescued. Everyone was so excited and happy. She had bruises and like restraints on her and different things. And then, you know, of course, they asked for privacy at that time. And I thought, oh, how great, a woman rescued. Okay, well, here I am in 2024 finding out she lied about the whole thing. She was never kidnapped, you guys. I'm sure you all know this, but this was news to me. Here's what Wikipedia says about it. She was 34 years old. According to the story, she was kidnapped and was released on Thanksgiving Day, November 24th at 4:30 in the morning. She was wearing restraints and she was on the side of the road about 150 miles south of where she disappeared. Law enforcement experts cited doubts as to her story because of the unlikely details and inconsistencies of the reported abduction. In August 2020, she stood by her story when questioned by federal agent and detective from the Shasta County Sheriff's Office. She received over $30,000 from California Victim Compensation Board. She made money from this between 2017 and 2021. On March 3rd, 2022, not that long ago, Papini was arrested on federal charges arising from her fabrication of the abduction. She reportedly had been staying with a former boyfriend, James Reyes, during the time that she was supposedly missing and had harmed herself in order to make her lies look real. 6 weeks after her arrest, Papini signed a plea deal admitting that she had orchestrated the hoax. She pleaded guilty to 1 count of mail fraud and 1 count of making a false statement. In September of 2022, she was sentenced to 18 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release, and ordered to pay $300,000, including restitution to cover the costs of the police investigation. Oh my gosh, her poor husband. The reason I even knew about any of this is I was on YouTube and there was this video of Sherri Papini's husband and it said something about Sherri Papini's ex-husband finally speaks out. And I was like, I recognize that name. Why does that name sound familiar? So I watched a little bit of it. I haven't seen the whole thing, but of course I did a deep dive on the internet, familiarizing myself with the story and then understanding where we were at this point. And I was shocked to find out that this whole thing was fake in 2016. Wow. You think you know reality. You think you know something. But no, apparently anybody can fake anything, and she is the worst, and her poor husband and her poor children who had to go through that just so she could see her boyfriend on the side. Wow, homegirl, you really did something not so great. 18 months in prison, that honestly doesn't feel like enough in a way. But also, I mean, she didn't kill anybody. Is that enough of a punishment? She really had everybody out here praying for her. Goodness, girl. Oh, you gotta be messed up in the head. You know what? Maybe I should have a little bit more charity and love for her, because clearly you can't be in a right state of mind if you're doing stuff like that. You know, I hope for her sake she gets the mental health help that she needs and that her family is able to heal from all of this. Truly, her husband and her kids, I hope that this doesn't, scar them for life, which I feel like if it was my parent, I think it would, but I hope for their sake that it doesn't. Wow, crazy to think about. I bet in her mind she didn't think it was gonna get as big as it did. I feel like she probably just thought, I'm gonna go chill with my boyfriend for a little bit and I'll just tell people I was kidnapped. And then all of a sudden her husband has the nation looking at photos of her, calling her superwoman, supermom. Yeah, I bet at that moment she thought, I'm a little in over my head and I really gotta commit to this. She was not Gone Girl. No, that was planned out. That was methodical. That was brilliant. What I think Sherri Papini did was she did a Wish version of what Gone Girl did. I think she read that book and was like, yeah, I could fake a kidnapping. But what she didn't really think about was just how much forethought it was going to take. And you really got to have your story straight. If you're going to lie that big to the nation on the news, honey, you got to know your story front and back. You got to have someone you're going to blame it on. Oh, girl, you made so many mistakes. Ultimately, it doesn't affect my life that much. So I guess I'll just move on. Thank you so much for listening, for supporting. And please, please, guys, give me a rating and review. There are so many of you that listen to this and it is not reflected in my numbers and I just don't know what to do to make that better. Please, if you could leave me some stars, leave me a review, I would really appreciate it because you guys are amazing and I have big dreams and goals for this podcast to be big. But in order to do that, I gotta show people the numbers that it is big. We gotta have them show not just on my private stats that I'm able to see, but to the public as well. I love you guys. Thanks for listening to my thoughts on life because this has been Life According to Nikki.